ball, though, it's the Porsche Carrera Cup Great Britain. Cian Jewis extended his championship lead slightly at the last event. That was at Snetterton. Let's see if he can maintain that as we follow the action in the company of Tim Harvey and David Addison.
Will Martin, triple winner this year, second in the championship, is on pole position. Gus Burton with him at the front, ahead of Adam Smalley and Theo Edgerton. Charles Rainford starts fifth, heading Pro-Am with Josh Malin alongside him at his home circuit. Championship leader Cian Jewis only seventh. Matty Graham is eighth on the grid, ahead of Jake Gittings and then Oliver White. Scott Malvern, who's not raced here in a long time, returns to the championship and he's 11th, ahead of Will Aspin. Then Nathan Harrison and Mika Stanley 14th. Hugo Ellis will start 15th on the grid, ahead of Angus Whiteside. Then Ryan Ratcliffe, and 18th is the AM champion-elect Josh Stanton, beaten only once in class this year. A class win in this race would net him the title. Newcomer Nick Jones is going to round out the grid for Team Parker Racing. Green flag shown at the back, just behind Josh Stanton's car, says that everybody's back from the grid. There's a little bit of smoke coming from the pole car as we get set for 20 laps of racing. Lights go out. Good start then by Will Martin from pole. He accelerates away. Gus Burton's going to go second. Adam Smalley third as they dive into Allard for the first time. But Smalley has got Theo Edgerton looking for a way past him. And also Charles Rainford then, the Pro-Am leader, right up there as well. Side by side for the race lead into Campbell for the first time. Martin on the inside. To the outside goes Gus Burton. Gus gets the inside for Cobb. Off the road has gone Theo Edgerton in the background. And it is just going to be Will Martin that leads as they come now through Seagrave for the first time. Martin leading. Second is Gus Burton. In third, Adam Smalley. Fourth, despite the rallycross, is Theo Edgerton. And out of Noble they go for the first time. And then into Goodwood, Village, Church. Noble is a daunting corner. So is this next section. You turn right, keep turning, and hang on in there. Will Martin just extending the advantage by a couple of lengths at the moment as the cars come then towards Church. Another ultra-fast right-hander for the first time. Nick Jones at the back of the pack, subbing for Justin Sherwood this weekend. But a really good, really impressive opening lap race by Will Martin on cold tyres, extending the advantage. 1 or 2 run wide, kick up the dirt on the outside of Church Corner. And now down they come into the chicane for the first time. Under braking, in fairness, Gus Burton has brought down that gap against the race leader. But Will Martin, having taken pole position yesterday by hundredths rather than tenths of a second, is under attack as they come across the line. The advantage he pulled midway around lap 1 has gone. Gus Burton only a fifth of a second back at the end of the opening tour. Through they go with Smalley third, Edgerton fourth. In fifth place, Josh Malin, the former Ginetta racer, but his home circuit going well. Having missed the first half of the season, it's good to have him in the championship. Josh going well, keeping Matty Graham at bay. And the championship leader, Cian Jewis, is only seventh at the moment. In 8th place, you've got Charles Rainford, who leads Pro-Am. 9th, Jake Giddings, and Oliver White in 10th. And this is a circuit that Oliver has not raced at very much. He's been a real gun in Formula Ford 1600 over the years, but that's been a category that of late has not visited Thruxton. This, the quickest circuit in the UK. And these cars, 510 horsepower, 1,265 kilos without the driver, proper GT race cars. And the fastest things here this weekend. 2 races. Race 2 coming up later on in the day as the leaders accelerate from Church up Woodham Hill through Brooklands and now into the chicane where Gus Burton closes back onto the tail. Look, right there under braking, under the rear wing of Will Martin's car. Adam Smalley is third, but not for the moment staying with them as the top 2 come out of the chicane over the line. Adam Smalley, who goes through, winner last year of the Ginetta GT4 Super Cup. And Will Martin, 6 career wins in this championship, 3 of which have come this year, still heads the pack as they turn now into Campbell, then Cobb, then Seagrave. This is lap 3 out of 20. Burton having done the fastest lap to get himself back onto terms with the leader. Great noise these cars make as they accelerate out of the complex. Once again through Noble, Will Martin sets the car up now to turn right into Goodwood, then into Village, on to Church. Now this is where a lap ago Gus Burton was able to come back at the race leader, hunt him down. From Village into Church now. Take a little bit of curb on the inside, run it to the curb on the out, then through Brooklands, up Woodham Hill towards the chicane. And you can see the way the top 2 drivers now, Will Martin and Gus Burton, are just extending that advantage ever so slightly as they now break for the chicane. Adam Smalley third, not being able to stay with them at the moment. And Burton's car looking a little bit more lively that time through the chicane. The Comline Richardson racing car leads Century Motorsports entry. Will Martin ahead of Gus Burton. Burton new to the championship this year. Nathan Freak, Century Motorsport team, new to the championship this year. Gus having won the GT4 class with Century and British GT last season. Led at Donington right at the start of the year. The first win, though, took rather a long time in coming. Now that Gus has had a win, he's got a taste for it. Nick Jones, British GT racer at the back of the field, dropping away. And there, look, in the largely black and yellow car, Josh Stanton, number 95. As long as he stays ahead of Nick Jones to win the AM class in this race, he's won the championship. He has been the dominant driver, being beaten only once this season. It will be really interesting to see what he could do were he to step up to Pro-Am before the end of the season. Job done today, job done in this race potentially by winning the AM Championship. Then the next way to really prove yourself is to go up a level into Pro-Am, take on those drivers and see how you fare. So Josh Stanton, as I say, set to win the championship, but it'll be really interesting to see what he does next and how quickly he would adapt to the battle in Pro-Am, where there are some good drivers. He's hunting down one of them at the moment, Ryan Ratcliffe, as there. Scott Malvern comes down towards the chicane, battling with Hugo Ellis. This is for 11th and 12th places. Scott Malvern subbing for Charles Bateman this weekend, so he's taken over the car, but in the pro class. Charles Bateman's earlier season entry. Hugo Ellis, new to racing in the championship this year, is all over the back of Scott Malvern. Scott, Formula Ford champion. Like Nick Jones, regular in British GT, they share a car for Team Parker Racing, and Scott Malvern under attack as they come into the complex. Hugo Ellis now being attacked by Nathan Harrison as well, and behind Harrison you've got Will Aspin, and a big slide by Ellis, who goes around off the racetrack. Thankfully everybody avoids him, and Hugo Ellis, who was second in Pro-Am to Charles Rainford, has just spun himself way out of contention. So now he's got to try and get the car to fire up once again. The JTR entry of the Dorset driver having hit the curb and rotated. There he goes up the inside of Scott Malvern, hits the curb, and the car just broke away. Around he goes, and the rest comes streaming past him. Here it is from another angle. So Hugo Ellis made the move on the inside. There was just about a gap, but the curb that he hit rather launched him, unsettled the car, and around he went. The Michelin tyres, on which everybody runs, always take a pounding at this very fast circuit, so there's an element of looking after the rubber for late race. Perhaps less of an issue this morning in the cooler temperatures, but when you get to race 2 this afternoon, which is going to be at 10 minutes to 4, could be much warmer, could be more of a challenge for the tyres. Matty Graham being caught as there, change for the race lead at Allard, because diving through goes Gus Burton, and has Will Martin got a problem? The car didn't seem that quick going through Allard, and there didn't seem to be a lot of defence being put up, but he may have made a mistake going into the corner. So Will Martin has handed the lead to Gus Burton. Let's have a look. He led coming out of the chicane. Over the line in replay. Yes, it was a wheel on the dirt. Will Martin makes a mistake. The car forced out wide, and that was all self-induced, wasn't it? A tiny mistake, and Will Martin has cost himself the race lead now. And Hugo Ellis has had another moment as well. That was coming out of Church. So he's had one spin at the complex, and there the JTR lawnmower gets back onto the circuit. And Matty Graham is now doing his best to extend the advantage once again. Josh Malin back into the pit lane, incidentally. So after his puncture, he rejoined the race, but all is not well, clearly, in the Comline Richardson racing car. Here, though, battle is well and truly joined. Rainford having another go at Matty Graham. They don't need to be squabbling. They're in different classes. And a touch of the dirt for Graham unsettles him. He goes deep into the chicane. Off he goes, takes to the escape road, rejoins, but that was a little mistake just at that speed. One wheel on the dirt, that was all it took to unsettle Matty Graham's car. Off the road he went. Charles Rainford is having a lap time disallowed as well for track limit offences, and it's getting a little bit more leery now late in the race. Up through the complex they come once again. So you've got race leader Gus Burton, 2.5 seconds to the good now. He's escaping all the time from Will Martin, although that fastest lap that Will Martin has done takes you all the way back to lap 3 when he was in the lead of the race. And that is a very disappointed Josh Malin. Andy Richardson of the team patting him on the back to console him, but Josh really frustrated. Home circuit this, and he really wanted to do well here, as you can appreciate. So that reverse grid for race 2, semi-reverse grid, is going to give him a lot of work to do from further back. As you look at Angus Whiteside here, he is 5th in Pro-Am. And Angus Whiteside has had a moment, as you can see, by running way wide and onto the dirt. Another Ginetta graduate, but the Ginetta Academy rather than Super Cup. Now the race leaders in and amongst the traffic. Angus Whiteside down towards the chicane. The leaders are already heading up towards the complex. And this is the fight for third place. Adam Smalley still ahead of Theo Edgerton. Red line versus JTR. So you've got 4 different teams in the top 4. Make it 5 in the top 5 because the Team Parker Racing Cian Jewis is there. And Adam Smalley again just running a little bit wide and touching the dirt. Got to be careful about this. The teams will have been aware of that puncture for Josh Malin. And they'll be trying to persuade drivers now, if they can, to stay off the curbs. So the race lead gap now up to 4 seconds. Will Martin, having been losing 10, this has lost a big chunk of time now. That might have been in the back markers, but either way, Gus Burton looks as though he's away and gone. So that's the race leader, and that is 16 laps in the book as they go over the line. Through Allard once more. And now Gus Burton just has to bring it home. Look at the gap he's got over Will Martin, having chased him for the first few laps before that little mistake by Will reversed the positions. Now Burton away and gone. Whereas you see lots of the drivers with their cars pre-race, pre-session in the assembly area. Gus disappears, always has his headphones on and runs back to the car at the last moment, getting himself in the zone in his own way. Well, it seems to work for him because that's a mighty margin he's pulled now over the rest of them. Third, Adam Smalley fending off the attack here of Theo Edgerton in that 4th place. Edgerton so close, but he can't get close enough to really have a go. Smalley's car moving around. They're absolutely on the edge as they come through Church. Now in this little battle pack, the 3rd car, there it is, Josh Stanton, just banking the points, set to win the championship in the AM class. He doesn't need to overtake anybody. He's ahead of his championship class rival in this race, Nick Jones. He's just got to bring it home, tick the boxes, not do anything silly. Charles Rainford, in the meantime, is right on the back of Matty Graham. Then the 2 Silver Dream racers coming up towards the chicane. And Matty Graham fends him off. Again, this is Pro versus Pro-Am. Oliver White having a go there at Jake Giddings. Nick Jones gets out of the way in Justin Sherwood's regular mount. Nick, regular Porsche racer in British GT and at Le Mans. He races in the Porsche support race on occasions there, successfully too. And as he comes then into Allard, he's dropped a lap against the opposition, including regular co-driver in British GT, Scott Mulvin. So as the race leaders currently work lap 18 out of 20, it looks as though Gus Burton is on for win number 2 of his championship season. Will Martin for 2nd place. Disappointing that he's so far back. Now why that is, he can explain, but the time has been lost in a big chunk, and he's never really, having lost the race lead, looked likely to be able to fight back. So as the leaders turn up towards the completion of lap number 18, Matty Graham for the moment getting away from Charles Rainford, who is on target for a 7th win in Pro-Am. There's Gus Burton through and over the line, breaks the beam, another lap done for the Century Motorsport run car. And as he turns through Allard, he's now got just under 2 laps to go. Really impressive effort this by Burton. Rainford, this time to the inside line against Graham into the chicane. This time he gets the job done. Good move. Charles Rainford goes 6th, picks up the place. To the timing line they come. Charles Rainford ahead of Matty Graham. Bad news all of this for Graham in the championship because he just does not have the pace to go forward. And Matty Graham ran wide at Church. This is where he lost momentum, bounced his way back onto the circuit. Bodywork flies, and he just about hung on, but Charles Rainford committed to the move. That was quite a moment for Matty Graham. You can see what it's ripped off from the wheel arch, but also he did a pretty good job of saving that, but he couldn't close the door in time. Rainford was there. Rainford commits. Rainford goes through. So they'll have to avoid that little bit of debris now that sits in the road heading up Woodham Hill. And Gus Burton is the race leader ahead of Will Martin down towards the chicane. One more lap to run, and Gus Burton comes through now towards the timing line. Will Martin in that 2nd place, oh so frustrated that he made that mistake. Now whether he would have had the pace to be able to keep Burton at bay, we'll never know, but certainly he was ahead when he made that mistake, and it's cost him dear. Burton leads. 2nd is Martin. and the gap between them 4.7 seconds starting this last lap of the race. So Gus Burton turns his way now through the complex. Came out of the Clio Cup Junior Championship into Ginetta Juniors, into the Ginetta Super Cup, in which he was 5 times a race winner, and the British GT4 class champion in British GT last year with Will Burns, who we'd also seen, of course, racing in the BTCC and Ginetta racing on the Toka Bill. Adam Smalley hangs on to a podium finish here against Theo Edgerton, who has tried everything he can to get onto terms, but he just can't quite get there. The checkered flag is being made ready. It is being made ready for Gus Burton. The gap for third possibly down just a little, by about a tenth on this lap in the first sector, but I don't think Edgerton's going to get close enough to attack. And this man, Gus Burton, is on target for win number 2 of the season. Into the chicane he comes, and Gus Burton, the man from Southend, accelerates now up towards the timing line. Checkered flag at the ready. A very happy Century Motorsport team cheers him home. Gus Burton wins at Thruxton. Will Martin takes second as he comes across the line now, and a long, long wait for third, and it's going to be Adam Smalley ahead of Theo Edgerton. This is the man that is 5th. This is Cian Jewis, the championship leader. He banks more points. It's a distant 5th, but it's 5th, and he comes through then to take the place with Charles Rainford set for 6th. A long, long way back. There he is, yet another win. That's a magnificent 7 for Charles Rainford in the championship in Pro-Am. And Josh Stanton is going to make it 10 out of 11 as Angus Whiteside spins behind him. Josh Stanton makes no mistakes, and he is going to be the AM champion in Carrera Cup GB. Lights go out, good start then by Will Martin from pole. He accelerates away. Gus Burton's going to go second, Adam Smalley third. And a big slide by Ellis, who goes around off the racetrack. Thankfully, everybody avoids him, and Hugo Ellis has just spun himself way out of contention. As Bear changed for the race lead at Allard, because diving through goes Gus Burton. Gus Burton is on target for win number 2 of the season. Into the chicane he comes, and Gus Burton, the man from Southend, accelerates now up towards the timing line. Checkered flag at the ready. A very happy Century Motorsport team cheers him home. Gus Burton wins at Thruxton.